Am I doing this right? All right. Hope everyone's doing okay. It's been a little more than a week since I've been able to hang out with everyone. So, figured I was ready to check back in. Hello to everyone who's joining now. I can see the people joining in. I appreciate that. And you know, I remember when I used to do these Instagram lives with Amber, you send the hearts, and that makes me feel really good. It means that you love me. So, yeah, I figured let's do a little Instagram live here and let's hang out for a little bit. It's been a little more than a week since I've been on the air. My last day with the radio station was last Friday, so a week from yesterday, so 8 days. Haven't been able to do the show for a pretty important week for our favorite football team. That part was weird, right? I obviously have a lot to say about the Dolphins, and we'll do a little bit of that too. Oh, look at all the hearts. Everyone send the hearts. You know I love the hearts. Makes me feel good. So, live here from the Zaslow Mansion game room. This is my game room I'm set up in right now. And, you know, we'll do some questions and all that stuff. I haven't done an Instagram Live in a long time. So, you'll have to excuse me because I'm not very tech savvy. Although I'm trying to learn how to be a little bit more tech savvy because I want to start to do things in more of an official capacity. So, you know, you could figure out what that means. It's not hard to understand. So, anyway, I assume this is going all right. I'm sure everyone can hear me and I'm doing it properly, right? Anyway, so let's address a couple of things, you know, before we go forward. Number one, I really appreciate everyone who has been sending messages. It's extremely difficult to get back to everyone. It's been a lot out there, and I've been getting all of them. It took me a while. It took me a few days. I didn't look at anything for the first few days, so it took me a few days to get to everything, but I did. I got to stuff. I didn't get back to everyone, and so you'll have to excuse me, but I read all your messages, and I would say, the one thing I would say about everyone who sent the messages, I know a lot of people really supporting and, you know, said really nice things, really, really nice things, but for people who are angry, you know, I would say take the anger and just, you know, redirect it to, you know, whatever I'll be doing next, you know? So if you are angry, okay, that's cool, but let's, you know, do something about it when the time is right, wherever it is that I pop up or whatever I'm planning on doing. If you are really angry, then you'll still follow me to, you know, whatever the next venture is. So that's the first thing I want to say. You know, if you're angry, I'll love you long time, but we just take the anger and we can put it in a better place when the time is right. So that'd be one thing that I advise. I'll say this too. I'm not angry. All right. I'm disappointed, obviously. I'm not, you know, I wish I was still doing the Zaslow Show Monday through Friday, 10 to 2, but I'm not angry. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, like, I'm not going to say anything nasty about the company. I worked at that radio station, you know, it was several different ownerships, but I worked at that radio station for 18 years, which is crazy and unheard of in radio. It's really, really unheard of. And so I'm really grateful for those 18 years. When I was there, the company treated me really well. I'm not angry. I don't really feel that I have anything to be angry about in general. I'm pretty grateful. I got to be one of the few voices on the air every day in the place that I grew up and the city that I love, and talk about my favorite teams, you know, since I'm a little boy. So I'm not angry, you know. So if you're angry out there because you don't get to listen to my show anymore, that's awesome. I love that. But like I said, let's take the anger and we'll put it in, you know, the new direction, whatever that new direction is. All right. So that's the way that I would look at it. But I'm not angry. All right. I had a dream job, which I should also mention because a lot of people have been asking, am I still going to be doing the Heat? I'm not. That was part of my contract. You know, that was all contracted through the radio station, which, by the way, so all of these years, it's like, oh, Zaslow, you never say anything bad about the Heat. You're a Heat employee. You're paid by the Heat. Nope. Now everybody knows I was always telling the truth. I was never paid by the Heat. Now is the proof, all right, because it includes my gig with the Heat. So I was always telling the truth, and unfortunately, my time, at least for now, doing that with the Heat is done. All right. So and especially, and I love the Miami Heat, and you should all continue to love the Miami Heat. I did that gig for 12 years, which is a dream. Everybody knows I got 2 shiny championship rings because of my time there, and I'm still, come on, and I love the Miami Heat forever, all right? And I will say, I'm excited for the first time in my life. I don't know when it's going to be, but I'm excited for the first time in my life. I'm going to go to a Miami Heat game with my kids. I mean, think about that. I've never been to a Miami Heat game with my kids. Never. So I'm excited for that. That'll be different and cool. But unfortunately, it does include my time with the Heat. So at least for the time being, at least for now, my time with them is done, unfortunately. But anyway, so I do want to answer some questions. I know there's a lot of messages coming. Oh, look at more hearts. I love the hearts. It makes me feel good. I love when you hit the hearts. But I do want to answer some questions, and we'll hang out here for a little bit. But like I said, I'm not mad. I don't have anything to be mad about. Certainly disappointed that I'm not doing the show on a regular basis anymore, at least for right now. Like I said, I'm trying to learn some things and figure some things out. I've never had to do anything on my own. It's the first job I had out of college. The first job I had out of college. I've worked there since I was a kid, 3 decades of my life, my 20s, my 30s, and now into my early 40s. I had the one job, so I got to learn a couple things here, and I'm hoping that things are going to start up again for me soon. We'll see, but I'll let everybody know. And I mean, listen, it's pretty easy. If everyone out there, I always told this about Joy. I always told this about Amber, the audience, the listeners, they never love you more than when you're gone, all right? When you leave, they love you the most. And so, the really nice things that everyone is saying right now, if all of it's true, then you'll wind up coming with me whatever I do next, and everything will be okay, But like I said, I'm not mad, and if you're mad because your day's different now and you're used to listening to what you're listening to, I get that. I understand that totally. But we'll take that anger and we'll put it in a different direction when I figure out what the next move's going to be. So anyway, and also let me also address this. So when I got the notice last Friday that I wasn't going to be working there anymore, I was a little bit nervous that people were going to think that I got fired, meaning that I got fired for cause, meaning that I did something wrong, because it obviously came out of nowhere. Oh, if it came out of nowhere, he must have done something wrong. If his contract is up, it's pretty easy to say, but that's not the case. But I think now, because everyone's read in the paper what's going on with $7.90 the ticket, that it's going away Monday, and it's going to be all Spanish news, pretty easy to connect the dots now that I didn't get fired, no one did anything wrong, and it's just is what it is. It's the way the business goes. So I was worried that people were going to think that I did something wrong, but I think now everybody knows that's obviously not the case. It's pretty easy to do the math there. Okay, so anyway, I wanted to say something real quick, and then I'm gonna try and get to some of these questions. I guess I'll just scroll through and we'll answer some of these questions, or I think there's a button there where you can actually ask a question. I click on it, but anyway, I'll scroll through some of these comments in a moment here. The fucking Dolphin game was crazy the other night, and it was weird because obviously I want to be able to do a show the next day and react to everything. I'll tell you how I experienced the Dolphin game real quick. So I totally thought that was a game that they could wind up losing. It's a short week, on the road, desperate Bengals team. But also, Dolphins are coming off a super physical... I mean, the Bengals are coming off a game with the Jets. The Dolphins were coming off of a super physical, emotional battle with Buffalo. and then they got to play 4 days later. That's such a tough spot. But they were playing, so I totally thought it was a game they could lose. And they're playing well in the first half for the most part. And then the Tua injury happens. And let me tell you something. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. I'll tell you, it's the second worst thing that I've ever seen sports-wise for one of my teams, okay? The worst was, and this is like 2009 maybe, was the Panthers, and when Panther forward Richard Zednick got sliced in the throat by the skate. You remember that? And the blood, and I thought we were watching him die. That was the worst. That's number one. The Tua injury and the fingers is the second worst thing I've ever seen in sports. It's one of the worst things I've seen in my life. I was so upset. It was so upsetting. And you knew initially with the fingers, because it's like the arms, with the boxers. It's like the concussion arms that I call it, That's the same thing. I knew that right away. But I've never seen it with the fingers before. And then I started to get super nervous because, okay, he's not moving. And then everybody knows this, all right? You remember this from Mike Utley, right? Because Mike Utley, who ended up being paralyzed from the waist down, but Mike Utley, former Detroit Lions lineman, he was the one who kind of started it where when they're carting him off the field, he gives the thumbs up to the crowd. Now, he gave the thumbs up to the crowd, but he was paralyzed from the waist down. But it's a thing now. Like, every player knows that. Every fan who's watching knows that. You got to look for the thumbs up. And so they're bringing Tua off the field. He's not moving. That you see they removed the face mask. Helmet was still on, removed the face mask. That's a terrible sign. And he did not give the thumbs up. And it's like, holy shit, this is very bad. This is very bad. You got to give the thumbs up. Every player knows about the thumbs up. He didn't give the thumbs up. And so now, like, I'm texting him. I go, this Tua's going to be paralyzed. He's going to actually be paralyzed. And then the report comes from the sideline reporter like 20 minutes later. And she says he's on his way to the trauma center. He's on his way to the hospital. And she doesn't mention anything about whether or not he's moving his extremities. You have to mention that he's moving. Now, maybe at that point, he hadn't started moving his extremities yet. But she didn't mention anything about him having full movement of his extremities. And it's like, holy shit. He didn't give the thumbs up, and she's not telling us that he has movement. He's paralyzed. He's paralyzed. I was so shook. And then, like, right before halftime, right at halftime, you get the Dolphins, thank God. Dolphins tweet out that he has full movement of all of his extremities. Oh, my God. And if you saw the halftime show, Ryan Fitzpatrick started to cry. They read the tweet live, and then they all felt so good. I was, oh, my God, I was so relieved. Because I just, who cares about the game at that point? I was totally shook. But you get the tweet from the Dolphins. He has full motion of all of his extremities. Thank God. And then I was able to at least somewhat enjoy the rest of the game. All right, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. And so anyway, the second half though, I was pretty proud of the Dolphins, man. That's a really tough spot. They played their asses off. They really did. That was one of those games where they lost that game, but you still know this is a very good team. This is a very good football team. I don't know when Tua's going to come back, a week or two. He's going to be back. It's a concussion, and he's probably not going to be out for very long. Thank God. But that second half of the Dolphin game, they played so hard. I was really proud of those guys. A very good team. You had no Xavier Howard. We know we have no Byron Jones already. You got like your third, fourth, fifth cornerbacks who are out there. They did such a terrific job, the Dolphins, and to be in a position to win, I didn't think Bridgewater was very good. I thought Bridgewater looked like a backup quarterback. But again, no reps during the week, short week 2. Maybe next week he looks like, a starting caliber quarterback, which he's been before in his career, So that's one of those Dolphins losses that I think you feel pretty good about. They're not going to lose. They're not going to win every game. That's a schedule loss, if you want to say. I came out feeling really good about our football team. I think it's on. I think it's on. And like 7 of the next 8 games are super winnable. The only really tough game in that stretch now coming up is the Vikings game. And it's a home game. So like 7 of the next 8 games are really super winnable. So I feel pretty good about the Dolphins. I was so upset about Tua. I'm so happy he's okay. I thought he was paralyzed. I thought it was so fucked. But I'm so relieved that the Dolphins Twitter they put that statement out as quick as they did. I was so shook when she didn't mention anything about his extremities. He didn't give the thumbs up. You gotta give the thumbs up. And he didn't give the thumbs up. Man. All right. And I mean, look, I didn't pay attention a ton the next couple days to watching, the national stuff. Because, I'm seeing all these headlines. All the doctors, all the coaching staff, they should all be fired. What the hell are you talking about? He was tested every single day of the week and never had a concussion. And here's also the thing that doesn't get pointed out where I was like, oh, you saw last week, he got up and he shook his head, cleared the cobwebs, and now you had this. Why doesn't anyone mention that he was on the injury report the whole week leading up to the Buffalo game with back stiffness? And what's also not mentioned, the first series of the game against Buffalo, when he got stuffed on the goal line, they did the quarterback sneak. Don't ever do that again. He did the cornerback sneak. He got bent backward weird and came up hobbling, because of his back. So, no one seems to mention that. Anyway, I was really annoyed with the national commentary about the Dolphins, about McDaniel. All of a sudden, everyone's a doctor who was there on scene. There was so much stupid. It really bothered me. Dolphins didn't do anything wrong. And Mike McDaniel, if you saw his press conference the next day, your biggest takeaway when he was very emotional talking about Tua. You saw Mike McDaniel's press conference the next day. Your biggest takeaway, unless you're not paying any attention, your biggest takeaway is this guy who cares about his players. This is not a scumbag. This guy cares. And there is no way that anyone was covering up anything. And if Tua had any kind of concussion the week before, there is no way Mike McDaniel's put him out there. There's no way. That has to be your biggest takeaway from hearing McDaniel talk the next day. Guy cares about his players. All right? It's enough of this. It's nonsense. All right? The optics are bad, but no one covered up anything. Everybody settled down. So, but anyway, thank God. Thank God Tua is okay. So by far the most important thing. All right, let's do some questions here. Let's see what I got going on here. Let's see. Disco George. That's my guy. I see you, Disco George. Disco George says, start planning opening a YouTube channel. Continue to do your takes. Listen, I'm considering all kinds of things. Everything's on the table. Let's see. Couch Chris says, what about Zaslow and Romberg YouTube or podcast? We all would follow you. The Queens, Joy and Amber would promote it, man. I appreciate a lot of people out there who are saying they would promote whatever I do. That's really awesome. Disco George is also saying that Kristen Hewitt left the Heat. Ruth Riley is not doing her gig anymore. Maybe you could do that. I'm open to all that stuff. I told the Heat. The Heat know. The Heat know. They know I'm around and I'm available. So, I'm open to anything. Let's see here. Nomad is asking, when and how did you find out about getting laid off? It was after my show on Friday. Yeah, it was right after the show last Friday, 8 days ago. Let's see. Papa Trez is asking who will be my old spot. I don't know. I'm not paying attention to it. Richard is asking, is there a podcast coming soon? Look, like I said, I'm trying to learn everything. I've never had to do, this is the first job I got out of college. I've never had to do anything on my own. So that's a little bit of a detriment for me is I'm trying to learn a lot this last week. Luckily, I got time on my hands. Let's see. Justin is asking a Heat question. Thoughts on Big Yurt possibly starting? I don't know. They're still out there in Baha Mar, right? Training camp. Got a bunch of messages here I'm trying to sift through. Trying to go back to the start here. People are sending a bunch of messages, and I'll go through them here. By the way, saw a movie yesterday. I saw I love the horror movies. Me and my son, Corey, we went and we saw the movie Smile, which just came out yesterday. Holy shit, that movie is scary. That movie is scary. My son almost fell out of his seat during the movie. He was so scared. He was closing his eyes during a couple of the scenes. I said, open your damn eyes. He was closing his eyes during a couple of the scenes. That movie, though, if you like horror movies, Smile. That movie's scary. It's really good. And have you seen the way that they've been promoting the movie? They got people at the baseball games, at Major League Baseball games, and they're just standing. They're wearing a shirt that says Smile, for the movie. And they got the creepy smile, and they're just staring at the camera. Get out of here. That's creepy as hell. If you're at the game and you don't understand what the hell's going on, has security not come and take that person away? This is not cool what's happening. Very scary. But if you like horror movies, I would go and see that. That's a good scary movie, Smile. I like it here. People saying, Zaslow, you look the same. When's your first day at Meadowlark? I don't know. I don't know about any of that stuff. I have spoken to Dan, but I've spoken to Dan because he's my friend. Let's see. Everyone's asking, are you starting your own podcast? Look, I'm trying to learn. I do want to get back out there. I'm trying to learn how to do stuff. I'm kind of like a 2-year-old because I've never had to do anything like that. This is the only job that I've had, But so I'm kind of behind the times when it comes to adapting and learning and the new wave of all, media and doing shows and podcasting, all the digital stuff. But I'll learn. I'm figuring it out. Let's see. Phoenix Night Forever. I see you, Dan Lebitard. If you're reading this, sign Zaslow to Meadowlark Media. A lot of misuse. Like here, Ivan is saying do an hour live IG show daily. I mean, for the time being, until I, figure out what's what. IG is a pretty easy thing to do here. That's why I wanted to pop on it today. I was ready to say what's up to everybody again. Let's see, Clinton, I see you. Nice thing, nice words you're saying too. Appreciate that. King Toro, Zaslow moved to LA last week. We'll continue to listen to whatever you do next. Yeah, everyone is saying they're going to continue to listen. Look, if everyone's going to continue to listen, everything's going to be okay. So, I'm going to have to hold all you to it. I can't believe $7.90 ticket is going Spanish. Well, of course, it's not going to be $7.90 ticket. It's going to be $7.90. Let's see here. Waiting to hear when you're going to be back on the radio. Yeah, well, look, as far as back on the radio, there's not going to be back on the radio anymore. Like my time in Miami sports radio. See, that's the weird part because what I'm about to tell you is true. My time in Miami Well, how do I reboot? See, it's saying reboot. How do I reboot? I don't want to lose like what we put together here, right? All right. Are we good now? I think we're good now. Somebody just say that we're good now. If anybody says we're good now, I'll continue on. Are we good? I'm good, right? Okay, yeah. Mikey's saying, everybody's saying I'm back. Yeah, the phone was ringing. Somebody's trying to get into the call box. They're not going to be able to get in. Okay, so anyway, so what I was saying, and this is the important part, and it's a really weird and sad truth. I'm not going to be back on the radio down here. Like, I'm not going to be back on Miami radio. My time in Miami radio is over because there's now just, one sports station, and I'm not there anymore, So that part's weird. Like, and that part was a little bit weird to grasp, after my last day was, like I'm done with Miami sports radio. But that's the thing, it's just the radio part, which, I'm learning because you put out, there's other ways to get your show out there. It doesn't have to be radio. Everyone listens to podcasts and that kind of deal on demand. And that's obviously, the new way where that everyone likes to listen. I mean, hell, I do it too. I listen to a ton of NBA radio, Mad Dog Radio, Fight Nation on Sirius XM. So listen to my wrestling shows, which, by the way, like Giovanni is saying right there, you could finally do the wrestling thing. Yes, that is 1,000% true. I am hoping to, do something in that fashion. So I'll be able to finally do, wrestling stuff. But look, my main goal is, I want to get the Zaslow Show going again in some fashion. It's just not gonna be on the radio, So we'll figure out how we're gonna do that. Let's see here. Everyone's saying a lot of nice things. Kevin, that's nice of you to say. I appreciate that. Rusty is saying something really nice. Appreciate that. Chuck Shannon, that's my guy. See you, Chuck. A lot of people are saying, and I know a couple of people were mentioning Joe. Joe Rose. I do want to mention something about Joe Rose. Joe's my guy, and I also told him recently, 18 years ago, Joe barely knew me. I was a kid, and he put in a good word for me with. It's funny. I was interning. I'll tell the story again real quick. So I was interning right out of college. My last 2 credits, I to graduate UF, I served for an internship at NBC6. And back then, Joe Rose was still the lead sports anchor. And so I got to know him a little bit. And at the end of my internship, he said to me, do you need a job? Because $7.90 a ticket was just starting up that September 04. And so this is the end of the summer, my summer internship. And he asked if I needed a job. Said, okay, call this guy at the new radio station that we're starting up. He was going to be the morning host. And, tell him I told you to call him. He needs to give you a job. And that guy, it was a little sticky note that Joe gave me. And the name on it was John Wiener. I don't know who else John Wiener is. And John Wiener, of course, is Stu Gatz. And he was the general manager of the station that was starting up. And I called him. He called me back. Joe Rose. Yeah, buddy. Joe Rose told you to call me? Yeah? Joe Rose, Joe likes you? All right. And so I came in the next day, and I did a short little interview. I got the job. And, because, Joe got my foot in the door. And because of Joe handing me, and I told him this the other day, because of Joe Rose handing me a sticky note with John Wiener's phone number on it, I got 18 years out of that sticky note. Pretty cool. So I don't have anything bad to say. I'm disappointed, but I'm not mad. And you guys shouldn't be. You guys shouldn't be either. If you are mad, then like I said at the start, you'll take that anger and you just use it to follow me. At the next thing. And then it's all good. So anyway, I'm really excited to summarize. I'm really excited about the Dolphins. I'm really excited about the Heat, of course. The Panthers, they've been playing preseason games. I'm super excited about that. I've had a lot of time over the last week to watch all my stories. Wrestling is on fire. WWE's better than AEW right now. It was the other way around for a little bit, but right now WWE is on so much fire. But I love both. Been watching both. And I really, really appreciate everyone's nice words. Like I said at the start, It's impossible for me to get back to everybody, but at this point I have read everybody's messages, and it was a little overwhelming at the start, but I'm super appreciative of all of it. So anyway, we'll do this again. I just figured it was a good time to check in with everybody. Hope everybody enjoys all the college football. If you want to send me messages, you know what? You can send me messages at Zaslow Show, and this way maybe the next IG Live that I do, I can answer more questions, because like I said, I'm really shitty when it comes to tech, and trust me, if I want to get a Zaslow Show off and running, I got a lot of reading and learning to do, which I've been trying to do for the last week. All right, so yeah, there you go. You can hit me up at Zaslow Show on Twitter, obviously at Zaslow J here on Instagram. I love you long time, and we'll talk again soon. And be on the lookout. Be on the lookout for what's coming next. All right, I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much.